Welcome to Britain Fights Back. The verdict on the British government versus the British people is in. Recorded live in the Mirror Online, we now have the judgment handed down for the Bell Hotel in Epping. We're told senior judges are delivering a verdict on whether to overturn a court ruling to block asylum seekers from being housed at the Bell Hotel in Epping. Lord Justice Bean, sitting with Lady Justice Nicola Davies and Lord Justice Cobb, is reading a summary of their decision at the Royal Courts of Justice in London. Ministers were rocked last week when a High Court judge said asylum seekers could not be housed at the hotel, which has seen widespread protests this summer, beyond September 12. Government lawyers called for the temporary injunction to be torn up. Keir Starmer has vowed to close all asylum hotels by 2029, but the Home Office says the process must be carefully managed, with last week's decision triggering concerns it could pave the way for bids from other councils across the country. Edward Brown KC, representing the department, told the Court of Appeal yesterday that individual injunction bids ignore the obvious consequence that closure of one site means that capacity then needs to be identified elsewhere. Health Minister Stephen Kinnock said immediate closures could leave migrants living destitute in the streets. At 14.1300 hours. The arguments and background of the case are being read out ahead of the judgment. The court hears that Epping Council argues that Simone Hotels, which owns the Bell Hotel, is in breach of planning law. In setting out the background to the case, the judge says the council did not take action to restrain Simone from providing accommodation at the hotel for asylum seekers during set periods. The court hears that this changed this year. The judge says that this month documents were formally served by the council, which argued that the current use of the hotel does not amount to use as a hotel, which is the permitted use of the premises for the purposes of planning control. The judge also refers to the temporary injunction relating to the hotel and says a plan had been set out for a mid-October trial date to decide a permanent injunction. At 14.32. The Court of Appeal judge rules that a number of errors were made by the judge who granted a temporary injunction which is set to block asylum seekers from being housed at the Bell Hotel in Epping, Essex. He said the Home Office not having been involved in the last proceedings meant the Home Secretary's statutory duty under Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights was not pursued in the case. We conclude that the judge made a number of errors of principle which undermine his decision. The wider picture, the judge says. He says the judge's approach ignores the obvious consequence that closure of one site means that capacity needs to be identified elsewhere in the system. He also said the judge did not consider that granting an injunction runs the risk of acting as an impetus or incentive for further protests. 14.35. Government wins appeal. The government and Simone Hotels, which owns the Bell Hotel, has won its bid to be able to appeal a temporary injunction to block asylum seekers from being housed in the hotel in Epping. We grant permission to appeal, both to Simone and to the Home Secretary, against the grant of the interim injunction. We allow the appeals and we set aside the injunction imposed on the 19th of August, 2025, the judge says. So there you have it, the people of Epping lost to the government. But did we really expect anything else? You can leave your comments in the box below and become part of a fast-growing community. Until next time, I'll just say, stay calm, stay safe, and we'll chat again soon.